Good morning everyone and welcome back to GRZ. Our topic for today is slavery. So what is slavery? Slavery is one of the oldest forms of human exploitation. It has existed for thousands of years across many civilizations, including ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. In many of these societies, enslaved people were treated as property and forced to work without freedom or pay. Between the 15th and 19th centuries, the transatlantic slave trade became one of the largest systems of slavery in history. Millions of Africans were captured, sold, and transported across the Atlantic to work on plantations in the Americas under brutal conditions. This period had lasting social, economic, and political impacts that continue to affect societies today. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe for more content and leave a comment down below with your opinions on this topic. During the 18th and 19th centuries, abolition movements grew stronger. Activists, religious groups, and formerly enslaved people campaigned to end slavery. Many countries gradually abolished the legal institution of slavery, but, exploitative practices continued in different forms. The official legal definition of slavery comes from the 1926 Slavery Convention. Slavery is the status or condition of a person over whom any or all of the powers attaching to the right of ownership are exercised. In simple terms, slavery means a person is controlled by another person, as if they were property. They cannot freely leave or refuse work. They are exploited through force, threats, coercion, or violence. They are denied basic human rights and freedoms. Slavery in the United Nations context. Although slavery has been legally abolished in nearly every country, practices that resemble slavery continue to exist today. The United Nations uses the term modern slavery as an umbrella concept to describe severe forms of exploitation, where people cannot leave because of coercion, threats, deception, or abuse of power. While modern slavery is widely used as a concept by the UN and partner organizations, it is not a single legal definition under international law. Instead, it encompasses several internationally recognized crimes and practices. So, let's talk about the forms of modern slavery. Chattel slavery is where a person is treated as the direct property of another. This is, of course, strictly prohibited under international human rights treaties. Then there's forced labor, which means work or services that people are compelled to perform under threat or coercion, without their voluntary agreement. Human trafficking involves the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of people through force, fraud, coercion, or abuse of vulnerability for exploitation, such as sexual exploitation, forced criminality, or even organ removal. Debt bondage happens when a person is forced to work to repay a debt, but the terms make it impossible to ever clear the balance. Forced marriage is another form, where one or both parties haven't freely and fully consented and can't leave. There's also child slavery and the worst forms of child labor, where children are subjected to things like forced recruitment into armed conflict, commercial sexual exploitation, or hazardous labor. And finally, hereditary servitude refers to practices where a status of servitude is passed down through generations. Now, what are the driving factors and international frameworks? The United Nations emphasizes that modern slavery is driven by root causes such as poverty and economic inequality. Discrimination based on gender, ethnicity, caste, or migration status is also a major factor. Armed conflict and humanitarian crises contribute as well. Other causes include weak labor protections and ineffective law enforcement, along with the demand for cheap labor across global supply chains. Modern slavery today is, a bit different from historical slavery, because ownership is usually not recognized by law anymore. Instead, perpetrators use more subtle control tactics, like confiscating identity documents, imposing financial debt, or making physical threats. According to joint estimates by the International Labour Organization, Walk Free, and the International Organization for Migration, nearly 50 million people were living in modern slavery in 2021. Out of those, approximately 28 million were in forced labor, and around 22 million were in forced marriage. So, why does the United Nations focus so much on modern slavery? Well, it's because modern slavery violates fundamental human rights, exploits vulnerable populations, fuels organized crime, and honestly, it undermines economic development everywhere. The UN strategy is all about combining prevention, victim protection, prosecution of offenders, and international cooperation. Let's talk about some historical abolition leaders. William Wilberforce led parliamentary efforts to abolish the British slave trade. Then there's Olaudah Equiano, a formerly enslaved author whose autobiography really exposed the brutal realities of slavery. Frederick Douglass was another formerly enslaved leader who advocated tirelessly for abolition and civil rights. Harriet Tubman escaped slavery herself and guided dozens to freedom via the Underground Railroad. And of course, Sojourner Truth, who was a renowned advocate for both abolition and women's rights. Now, looking at key global organizations today, the United Nations promotes global cooperation to eliminate modern slavery through human rights initiatives. The International Labour Organization, or ILO, establishes international labor standards to combat forced and child labor. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime leads global efforts against human trafficking and organized crime. And finally, the International Organization for Migration protects migrants and supports victims of trafficking. Thank you for watching, everyone. Be sure to subscribe. It really helps us out. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. See you next time. And remember, be human, be kind.